Hello and welcome to Oslo. I'm Phil Liggett, bringing you the World Cycling Road Championships, which this year celebrate 100 years. But it's the first time this beautiful Scandinavian country has played host. The championship programme will find 5 world champions. It will begin with the 50 kilometres women's team time trial and followed then by the 100 kilometres men's team event. Then come 3 road races, 92 kilometres for the women, 184 for the amateur men, then the blue ribbon of world cycling, 258 kilometres for the professionals. A year ago in Benidorm, Spain, the Women's Team Time Trial World Championship was won by the United States. It's an event for 4 women teams. And this year there are 14 countries taking part. The United States too are defending their title here in Norway. The United States team will find their challenge probably from the Italians and Germany, the 2 countries who excel in team time trialling. For the men's event, that's fought out over 100 kilometres and will take approximately 2 hours. In the World Championships, they were the Olympic Games 1 year ago in Barcelona, and it was Germany who produced the world champions. They too will defend their title here in the first of the World Championship series since last year's Olympic Games. And after the time trials are over, we'll move on to the 3 road races, which will begin with the women's road race. 26 nations will take part in the World Championship this year in Oslo, Norway, and there'll be more than 100 riders. A year ago in the Olympic Games, it was Kathy Watt of Australia who broke away alone to take the gold medal. She too is back in Oslo to defend the title. And in the men's amateur road race, there'll be 226 riders. 1 year ago, it was the Italian rider Fabio Casatelli who took the title. He won't be back in the amateur race because he's now a professional, but he'll remember this victory for a long time to come. In second place, Eric Decker of Holland. And then to the blue ribbon of road racing, the men's professional championship, bringing all of the world's famous riders to the fore. In the sprint 1 year ago in Spain, it was the world champion defending his title successfully, Gianni Bugno of Italy, who sprinted clear of the Frenchman Laurent Jalabert. And indeed, Gianni Bugno too will now be back to go for a hat-trick of World Championship wins. Can he do it? Well, we'll find out very shortly. And one challenger could be Miguel Indurain of Spain, the winner of the Tour de France for 3 years. And so to the opening championship of the 5 here in Oslo on a beautiful morning, the 50 kilometres women's team time trial. And an extremely good entry, the last team to start, the United States as the defending world champions, who will chase France, Russia and Italy on the start order because the best go last in this event. Let's have a look at the course route. This is it. It's 50 kilometres precisely. It takes the riders out along the E18 motorway. And by the time the riders got to the 26 kilometres turning point, it was the Russian team who were leading ahead of the United States and Italy. And so this is the arrival now of Germany, who have been threatening a good time all the way along the course. They started number 5 today, and they've been the best of the first 5 teams on the route, and it looks like there's going to be no exception. The only girl they've dropped is Kajula Gruber, but the other 3, Vera Holfield, Sander Kratz and Claudia Lehmann, are coming home together. The time is taken on the 3rd rider to cross the line. They get the lead now with 1:9:42.5. But let's move further back down the course, because this is the Russian team. They have in fact caught the Italian team who started in front of them, and they set the best time at every checkpoint. The Russians, who dominated this event as the Soviet Union back in 1987, that was the very first women's world team time trial championship in Villach in Austria. And look at this now, the Russians are confirming their time checks all the way along the road. They've been out in front since the first check, which came at 4 kilometres, and they've never looked like losing that first slot. Swinging up now through the streets here of the city of Oslo, Olga Sokolova, Svetlana Bubkakova, Alexandra Kolyaseva and Valentina Polhanova. They're the 4 women now who are trying to regain the world title. Remember, the top teams are still behind them on the road and yet to come in. There are the Italians behind them who, despite being caught by this Russian squad, are still on a very good time indeed. The time to beat is that of Germany, 1:09:42.5 seconds, and they're going to be well inside that by a long, long way. This has been an extremely good ride by the 4 Russian girls. They've stayed together all of the way. They clearly have the strength in depth. The Russians, twice the world champions in 87, 89, are now going to establish best time with the top teams behind them still to come in. But there's no doubt they'll go top of the leaderboard. They've led it every time check. They get a nice round of applause here in the centre of Oslo. They hit the line. They're the best time, and Italy coming over, and they're going to be second by a shaving. They get the second best time, pushing Germany to third. So the Russian girls now are winding down. They can watch the rest of the team come in to see if they have the gold medal. The Italians rest in silver medal position at the moment. So let's go back out onto the course now and pick up the team from France of Nathalie Gendron, Catherine Marçal, Cécile Audin and Corinne Legal. And in fact, Legal has been dropped. There's only 3 girls left here in the group. And they've had a tough time out there, the French. They won the world title back in 1991. And they're now challenging for a medal, but they've lost the third place. Canada are the next challenge, but they might just scrape into third. They beat Canada. They've done it by 2.5 seconds. But France are in 4th place. They take Canada's slot, who move down to 5th. They won't be too happy with that today. And here come the Americans now, defending their world title in Benidorm of 1 year ago. They steadily climbed right back up to challenge the Russians here. But already the time has gone. As you can see, the Russians finished with 1 hour, 6 minutes and 32 seconds. So the United States are now fighting for silver, and they're running desperately close to Italy. They're going to have to produce a great sprint finish here. It's a long way from this corner right down to the finishing line outside the City Hall in Oslo. And Italy have come back in with a vengeance. They were the world champions in 1988, the silver medalists in 1989. Now they're holding on to that silver medal spot, but the United States might salvage it. It's always difficult to defend your title, and they've had a very good ride here. There's only 3 of them left. Stevenson, Boland and DeMay. As they come up towards the line, it's going to be desperately, desperately close. They don't know it, but they know every second's going to count. The clock stops on the 3rd rider to cross the line because it's a team race. And the United States are going to be very close, but they'll get the silver medal. They cross the line in 2nd place. And look at that, less than 3 seconds ahead of Italy. So a tremendous effort there by the United States, especially over the second part of this course that brought them down from the turn. It gave them the silver medal behind a very dominant Russia, who for the first time in their own country's name take the gold medal in the Women's Team Time Trial Championship. And right down to Finland, who finished 14th of the 14 competing nations. On the presentation rostrum, the first chance for us to see a World Champions jersey, the rainbow jersey to the World Champions Russia. The United States on the left, and the Italians very happy on the right. So the 3 champions of the first of the championships here in Oslo. And the men's 100 kilometers team time trial championship here in Oslo has drawn an excellent field of 22 nations. And all of the world's top cycling nations are represented. The Olympic champions Germany, the last in the starting order at team number 22, chasing the runners-up at the Olympic Games in Barcelona. Italy, followed by France. The course over 100 kilometres, 2 laps of the 50 kilometres circuit based on the E18 motorway here in Oslo. And at the turn at 50 kilometres, Italy has established a 40.7 seconds lead over Germany and Switzerland. And this is the arrival now of the Belarusia team. They've been setting the early best times at all of the checkpoints. The 100 kilometres almost over, and they're going to set the new time back at the finish here outside of Oslo City Hall. Slovenia set the best time. They're already in with 2 hours and 7 minutes, but Belarusia are going to go much better than that. So they've had a tough time out there. They've lost, in fact, one of their riders out on the course. But they're finishing with 2 riders who won the 4th place in the Olympic Games last year. And they're in now with the best time of 2 hours, 4 minutes. But the challenge is coming from Australia. The Australians have made steady progress over these last 25 kilometres. They've gone from strength to strength. And the time is running very, very close indeed to Belarusia. The Australian team here have been riding very well. Henk Vogels, Damien MacDonald and Brett Dennis. They've dropped Grant Rice and they go ahead of Belarusia. 2:04.08 for Australia. And this is the Czech Republic. They've caught Norway just behind them. And the Czech Republic now are coming in. The times are tumbling all of the time here. They too, like a lot of these teams, have dropped one man, but in the team time trial you can do that because the time is taken on the third rider to finish in the team. The other one you can throw away. And the Republic of Czech are coming in. They're going to beat the Australian standard. And it's going to be inside 2 hours, 4 minutes, 2:03.55. Let's go back out onto the course for the arrival now of the Swiss team. Here they come. And they too are putting up a superb performance. Now we're getting towards the medal hopes here because Switzerland has been setting superb times all the way through this 100 kilometres Czech. They were always good as a team, but never as good as this before. It looks like the Swiss are going to get themselves a medal. Roman Jecker, Beat Meister, Markus Kennel, Roland Meyer, but they too have dropped a man out there, but they're still going to go better than Czech. 2 hours, 2 minutes, 47.1. They're on top of the leaderboard. And this is the team finishing behind them, is the Pays-Bas team, Holland. And they too have got a good time, but not good enough. 6th place for Holland. They were caught, in fact, by the Swiss team. Now, let's go down the road to Italy, who for so long have been the best amongst the team time trialists over a long time. They've won 5 World Championships and 2 Olympic Games gold medals. They have just passed France on the road. And now they're trying to go one better than last year in the Olympic Games. There's France still in their slipstream where in fact they shouldn't be. They were second, Italy, in the Olympic Games in Barcelona last year. And they're aiming now to take out the Swiss time of 2 hours, 2:47.1. And it's getting a little bit complicated down there because, yes, this is a team time trial. It's not a road race. But now, in fact, the fast riding by the Italians, they've caught France. And they're now tangling with the Spanish team, who started 2 teams in front of them. So that means they're catching the Spanish now for 6 minutes. And that only emphasises the great ride by the Italian riders here. Rossano Brasi, Gianfranco Contri, Rosario Fina and Cristian Salvato. And all 4 of them are still together. The sign of strength in depth indeed. And a crowd enjoying warm sunshine here in the centre of Oslo and being treated to quite a finish. The French too are hanging on in there to a good time. But the Italians trying to get through here and being slowed a little bit by the Spanish riders, who should certainly know now. Look at the time, they're just over 2 hours now. They've been inside 2 hours before in the team time trial, but this is a tough course, a long climb up to the turn, each lap of some 6.5 kilometres. They've mastered that better than most. And the Italians sprinting for the line. The clock will stop on the 3rd one. This will go top. It's much, much better than Switzerland. 2 hours and 18 seconds for Italy. They know they've got it. Now they've got to wait for the arrival of the defending Olympic Games gold medalist Germany to see if they will become the world champions. But right now, they think they have. So the Italians slow down as we go back to the last team out on the course now, which is Germany. Now watch the time here of Italy, because it looks as though Germany can't possibly arrive in time. So the Olympic champions are going to have to pass on this one, but they're still in the hat for the silver medal slot because the time is ticking away. The Italians know it down in Oslo. They are the new world champions, their 6th world championship, by the way, since these championships began 30 years ago. And the defending Olympic Games champions will have to put up with the silver medal, and they've got to beat Switzerland to do that yet. They've dropped their new recruit, by the way, Andreas Walzer, who came into the team to replace the retired Bert Dietert. And maybe that's been a little bit too weak for them, because 3 men have not been able to master the speed of Italy today. But they are just about going to pip the Swiss. They will get the silver medal, and the Germans should be satisfied with that. They are a shaving ahead of the Swiss. But there's no doubt the new world champions are Italy. France gets 4th, despite being caught by Italy. And right down the list there to the Belgian team in 16th place. But the world champions, the Italians, for the 6th time in their history, are now ahead of the Germans, who won the gold medal in the Games 1 year ago in Barcelona. First of the 3 road race world championships here in the city of Oslo on a circuit of 18.4 kilometres. The women's event has drawn a record entry and a race of 92 kilometres, bringing together the most famous girls in the world of cycling. circuit itself is logistically a nightmare for the people of Oslo. They've had to close down some of their main streets, but what a good job they have made of it. It's a circuit, as I say, of 18.4 kilometers, starting and finishing outside the city hall in the center of Oslo. The high spot of the race up by Ekberg, and a climb taking them up to 163 meters every lap. The lap taking the riders approximately 29 minutes. And there it is, a beautiful setting on a beautiful day. 5 laps of 18.4 kilometers, total climbing 1,250 meters as we join the race now on the final lap. And this is Jenny Longo of France, and with her is Leontine van Moorsel. These two girls have battled out the world's finest races just about everywhere in the world, and again it has come down to just the two of them as they run down towards Oslo. This is the group that has formed behind them, but they've allowed the two most important riders in this race to flee. It is the United States here trying to narrow the gap down because they have the sprinters, but indeed Jenny Longo, the world champion 4 times, now taking on Leontine van Moorsel of Holland in the orange jersey. She won the world championship back in 1991. She was beaten though to the gold medal last year by Kathy Watt. Kathy Watt, by the way, has been nowhere in the race today. She is suffering from an Achilles tendon problem and she hasn't been a challenger. So the Olympic Games champion will now see the next year's world title pass to someone else. The question is, will it be Van Moorsel or will it be Jenny Longo? And 22 seconds is the gap as they run now. Where the clock is the City Hall, but we still have to go around the town, and that's about 2 kilometers to go to the finish for these two. This is the pit area where the riders pass through each lap. But now, as ever, the spectators watching the 2 top girls in women's racing. And Leontine van Moorsel this year the winner of the Tour Feminine, a race indeed which Jenny Longo has won in the past. But for the last 2 years it's been Van Moorsel of Holland who's been the better of the two. And Longo knows that Leontine van Moorsel packs the better finish, and what's she going to do about it? She's played her cards all day trying to break clear. She finally got away, and her heart must have sank into her boots when she saw that Van Moorsel had come up alongside her. She's dreamt of another world title before she retires. The gap, I think, is enough for those two riders to stay clear. The pack now more concerned with the race for the bronze medal. Here they are, Van Moorsel making the pace, a sign of confidence perhaps that she knows she can win the sprint. She's looking over her shoulders. She will see the field coming up now. And Jenny Longo will not want to take the lead anymore here. She wants at least the advantage of surprise in the sprint. It's even too late to go for home alone. And time running out for Jenny Longo now, on the verge of retirement. She retired once, she's come back to the sport and gone straight back in at the top. She's such a talented world record holder, great track rider as well as great road rider. And look at this, she won't go by. She wants to stay in second place. They're playing with fire, these two girls, because the field are closing down on them very, very quickly. So much so, the race officials have sent away the following cars. The girls will know that's a bad sign. Van Moorsel is playing with nerves too. She will not take the lead. She's kept Longo in the front. That's where she wants her. And Jenny Longo is the one who is cracking and forced to lead out. That is not good. Van Moorsel is very, very shrewd here. She's forced Longo to take the lead. And Van Moorsel is the better finisher. But look at the pack behind. They're coming right up. There can't be more than 7 seconds now. And Longo has had to go early. Van Moorsel is coming up on the right very, very quickly indeed. It's shoulder to shoulder. The two girls who always seem to battle out the world of top bike races. Now it's Van Moorsel who takes it, as predicted, on the line by Jenny Longo, who shakes ahead. The sprint for third place there, and that's between Laura Sciaramida and Michela Fanini of Italy. That has gone to the photo finish. There's no doubt, though, about the winner. Leontine van Moorsel, the world champion 2 years ago, is the champion once again. Well, let's just have a look at that sprint again. There they are, and in the end, Longo knew she'd made the mistake when she was manoeuvred into the lead. Van Moorsel knew that was what she wanted. A very simple world title indeed in the end. So Leontine gets the gold medal for Holland, and Jenny Longo, second in Barcelona in the Olympic Games, has to be content with second again here in Oslo. But what about that race for third place? And here in the slow motion finish on the far side, it's Laura Sciaramida of the United States who beats Michela Fanini of Italy, and Sally Zak, also of the USA, is there out sprinting Kathy Reardon of Australia. but the 3 medal positions, Van Moorsel of Netherlands, Longo Ciprelli of France, and in 3rd place was Sharamida of the United States. And what a pretty picture they look on the podium. And so a World Championship for Holland's champion lady. The World Amateur Men's Road Racing Championship, over 184 kilometres, has drawn a magnificent entry of more than 220 riders, representing 44 nations. A record entry indeed. They ride the same course as the earlier women's race, whereas the women did 5 laps, the men have to do 10. It's 18.4 kilometres, and it has 2 very stiff climbs on it. It comes in around the port and then around the city of Oslo, past the town hall, to the start and finish. Out on the course itself, it begins climbing after only 2 kilometres, and then there's the long climb, which takes the riders up to 163 metres before they begin the long descent back down to the seaside of this beautiful city, and then around the back before they swing into the home straight. And there you can see it laid out on the city of Oslo's floor, and it is again a beautiful day. But in a field with so many riders, it's so often riders touch wheels, and this is what happens. Thankfully, no serious injuries, just a few embarrassed men down there, because remember that these are the best riders in the world. They have to earn selection from their countries before they are named. And this rider from Taipei, China, Huang Xianxi, well, he didn't make the left-hand corner and crashes out of the championship with this tumble, although thankfully he too was not seriously hurt. A few reminders, though, of how hard the roads are here in Norway. Now we're on the last lap of the 10, and these are the 5 riders who have established the lead in what has been a very difficult race indeed to work out. There have been attacks and counter-attacks, but these 5 riders have come together. There were 6, but they've dropped the American rider, Fred Rodriguez, and these are the riders up front. The rider going through now from the Czech Republic is Lubor Cesar. The rider sitting at the back here is Kaspars Ozers from Latvia. And joining too his teammate Arvis Pisix, who is one of the last riders to join this leading group. He just got on before the door opened a little bit too wide for the rest of the race. Cesar is at the back, number 56. Number 6 here is Jan Ulrich, a 19-year-old teenager from Germany, riding his first World Championships, by the way. And the other rider from Italy is Alessandro Bertolini. And this is the chase group coming on here. And they're being chased by Patrick Jonker of Australia, as time and time again this main field has splintered in pursuit of breakaways, but I think this time they've missed the boat. We're only about 4 kilometres from the finish. This is the remnant of that massive field of more than 220 riders. It's been a very, very quick race indeed. The average speed almost 44 kilometres an hour. Now they're through the pits. These are the 5 riders in the lead, and they're coming to the last 2 kilometres. They know exactly where they are. They've been through here 9 times before today. They've been riding for over 4 hours now, so the winner is going to come in the sprint finish, and one of these 5, the gap is something like 50 seconds over the main field. The Italian rider, who is among the favourites, Bertolini in the blue jersey, is hanging on to the nearly last position here. That's where he wants to be for the benefit of surprise. The other rider at the back is Kaspars Ozers from Latvia. The last little rise here before they turn right and right again. As the rider comes through now, it's Arvis Pisix at the front from Latvia. Pisix in the lead. On the far right is Jan Ulrich, and up in the second place, the Italian rider has come now. The 2 Latvians, though, are still very much in this race, but it looks as though Pisix is setting the pace in the hope that Ozers can finish it off in the sprint. He's setting the pace. It's far too early to go for home, and I think the plan is that, in fact, Pisix sets the pace and Ozers will win the sprint. That's the theory. The rider at the back here is Jan Ulrich of Germany, who have had a very poor games here these past 2 weeks in Oslo and Hamar, where we were last week. They haven't won a gold medal, and that is a surprise. Number 56 is Lubor Cesar from the Czech Republic. Now Pisix again leading out the sprint here. Cesar is in second place. Now the sprint has started, and indeed Ozers is going in the white in the centre, but Cesar takes it up. Ulrich has come from the back as well. The teenager from Berlin is coming up on the left. Cesar is on the right, and that in fact was Ozers who is pushing his way out, but it's too late. In fact, Jan Ulrich is the surprise winner of these championships. 19 years of age. I'm not surprised he's delighted with that. in his first World Championships. That is the youngest rider to win a world title since Eddie Merckx took the amateur championship we're going back 20 years to Merckx's victory in Solange. This is the sprint now, which will be for 6th place, and these are what is left of that big bunch of riders in what has been a very quick race indeed. There's the speed, 43.6 kilometers an hour, and the rider who's beginning to get to the front in the red stripe down his jersey on the right is a great finisher. That is Marek Lesniewski of Poland. Lesniewski of Poland and Christophe Lerousque of France is just behind him, but Lesniewski is going to be difficult to beat now. He's taking the field across. Lars Mikkelsen coming to on the inside. Mikkelsen's will crack. Mikkelsen has hit the barriers and gone down there. The Italian rider just ahead of him is Andreas Hugman, but taking the sprint in the end was Marek Lesniewski, and that is Lars Mikkelsen, the Danish favourite, who is left on the ground just a few yards from the finishing line. And that is reminiscent indeed of the crash of Jamaluddin Abdul-Jabbar in the Tour de France a couple of years ago. Well, there is the new world champion being mobbed by the world's press, Jan Ullrich, and this is how he did it now. Ullrich is the rider at the back of these 5, and this is what he did to produce the sprint. The rider who appeared at this point to be winning was the Czech rider Lubor Cezar. He had plenty of lead out here, but Ullrich is coming steadily all of the time, and falling away a little bit is Kaspers Ozers on his inside. Ozers was the rider, by the way, that we thought was being set up for the sprint there by his teammate Pisix, who dropped off and finished 4 seconds behind. His job, he thought he'd done well enough for Ozers to get the gold. Ozers in the white. Ullrich still having a little bit of difficulty, but now beginning to move clear over Kaspers Ozers and over Lubor Cezar of Czech. And now the Latvian rider appears to be racing into a box here while the German goes to victory. The Czech rider goes slightly to his left. Ozers has to slow down indeed to push the Czech rider out of the way, but I don't think it cost him the gold medal because young Ullrich was just simply too far ahead and the gold medal was his. Superb finish by Jan Ullrich, the rider who came to the German Junior Championships just after they were unified East and West because he was an East German, and he came in training shoes. Now he's a world champion at 19. And something of a relief too for the German camp, I would think, because at last they're taking home a gold medal in these championships. There's the result. Ullrich winning the sprint from Ozers of Latvia, Cezar of Czech is 3rd, Bertolini of Italy 4th, Pisix 5th, and Marek Lesniewski of Poland takes the 6th place. By the way, the rider who crashed, Lars Mikkelsen of Denmark, is up and is okay. The new world champion, a teenager from Germany, and has a great future ahead of him. He says all he wants to be is a top cyclist. Well, he's well on the way, isn't he?